Thank you for joining me on the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, AZ. I find the research and resources and then provide the fire service with the so what, now what, to ensure the health and well-being of every member of our profession. Together, let's thrive. Hey listeners, happy 2026. I hope it's off to a great start. Thanks for joining me again on the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. This is episode 214, where I was joined by my friend Cindy McKnight, two-time guest, and we talked a lot about getting your year kicked off to a great start. And we talked about burnout and empathy and emotional intelligence and all of those things that are so critical in our day-to-day relationships and in providing services at the fire department. I hope you enjoy it. As always, give a rating and a review on your favorite platform. Cindy McKnight, I am so glad that you're joining me again for the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. How have you been?
Oh, I've been good. I've missed you. Thanks for having me back.
I know. I miss you so much. And you are my every New Year episode. This one is a little bit late. Usually they're like right at the New Year or right before. This one is going to drop a little bit after, but I have tried to have like a special conversation that might be coloring outside the lines. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. What do you feel about coloring outside the lines today?
I live my life like that a lot.
That's why we're friends.
No.
In case, I'm going to link Cindy's previous episode in the show notes, but Cindy, give us the quick rundown about you and your business and where you're from and all of that good stuff.
Well, originally from Minnesota, but been down here in Illinois for more time than I actually lived in Minnesota at this point. And I am a mental health therapist here and also licensed in 4 states, but primarily working out of Illinois, and do a bulk of my work in the first responder sector and with veterans as well. So it's a passion. And as I had talked to you before, it's something I grew up in with first responder family, both mom, dad, sibling, cousins, just it extends out. It's a far reach. So it's just within me. So I'm an adjacent member of the first responder community, we could say.
And we love having you in the family because you are so wonderful. And I do want to point out to the listeners, in a very sad turn of events, Oklahoma is not, in fact, one of the states that Cindy is licensed in.
Yeah. Not yet.
Working on her.
We got to work on that counselor compact here in Illinois.
Ooh, tell me a little bit more about that before we dig into the other. What's counselor compact? What does that mean?
So off the top of my head, last I checked, and there may be more, but there's 33 states that are a part of it. So it means if you've passed the national requirements that you're supposed to, then you could apply for almost like a reciprocity to be able to practice without going through as many hoops, if you will. But Illinois is not one of them that has joined that. So
are you shocked? This is my shocked face.
No, as the kids would say, surprise level 0, because it is a business endeavor too, right? So,
Illinois, in my experience, doesn't play very nice in the sandbox. Sometimes
it's correct.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, my friend, this will be right after the new year, and so everyone has their proverbial clean, fresh slate of how they want their life to go in 2026. And at the very end of our last episode, we had actually stopped recording and I hit, stop recording. And then you said the most incredible thing about compassion, fatigue, and burnout. So then I made you record it again. Can we pick up that conversation today?
Sure.
Oh, I love it. You used a fantastic example, I guess would be an example of the fact that the tones go off 3:00 in the morning. It's that same address that you go to time and time and time again. And it's the same person who potentially is inebriated again and wants to go to the hospital again. Do you remember the rest of the example of how you put that together for us? I bet you do.
Yeah. So it's the one I use each and every time because it hits like closest to home because they're the frequent flyer calls or the things where you don't walk in with the same level of compassion, if you will. If it was, like a first time or something like that, it's like, oh, we're coming back again. What people fail to see sometimes is the impact that it has on your own personal nervous system. And so I like to work with people to reframe that way of thinking, going, this guy, when he was a kid, didn't say, I can't wait to be an alcoholic when I get older. Some series of events led him to this place where he started self-medicating and it got out of control. Or the person who's lonely, it looks like they're attention seeking, and maybe they are. But at the end of the day, they're still human beings. You still have to show up. So it's how you set your mind up to go into that call that is going to really impact the outcome in many ways. The times I hear about people going, oh, I got a complaint filed against me. Well, when that complaint comes in and it's 2 p.m. and you're well rested, it might hit differently than going, maybe and upon reflection, I could have handled that differently. You don't want to get in trouble for having a human response, but I really want people to be able to have that self-awareness and do the inventory and say, I have a choice about how I'm going to go about this. And that's empowering.
I have a choice. And I think I can tie this together in 2 thoughts that you just said so eloquently. What series of events brought that person to the place where they are today?
Mm-hmm.
And you have a choice in how you respond. And so, can we turn this on its side and say, what series of events brought the firefighter or the first responder to the place they are today?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, so now they're going home after a very rough day at work, and dig into that sort of series of events and the choices of how they respond, how we can frame that more positively.
Yeah, for sure. So it would be, what are you doing for your own self-care and discipline? So what are you putting into your body? What are you eating? Are you working out? How are you shaking off a bad day? How are you setting yourself up to have a good day when you get off of shift? There's a personal responsibility component. There's also one that would be within the firehouse too, so that leadership could say, hey, let's just talk about this. What are we going to do today? I know last night was rough. Or if, boss is coming in and they're seeing the events of last night and checking in with the crew and being like, how's it going, guys? What are you guys going to do today? Like a simple, hey, you can hit the gym. You want to stick around a little bit longer? Just different things to make that wellness conversation, which also like calms your body down, just the norm. While you're sitting there having coffee, staying a little bit longer, maybe setting up a healthy breakfast. Like, what are we doing to tee ourselves up for a good day?
I enjoy that you said self-care, because it's funny, we were just talking about that before I hit record. And so elaborate a little bit more on, you said a good, healthy nutritional intake. You said, are we going to go do some fitness training? What other methods of self-care can we partake in that will set us up for a good day, for success?
Well, one of the things that I do is I start work. My first clients are at 7 a.m. So I often every morning my 7 a.m. is full. And that is people coming before shift to go to the mental health gym. So they're starting off their day going, okay, this is what's ahead of me. Let me unpack whatever so I can walk into this day better. I'll get people who are coming off of shift and they're like, all right, I want to come here before I go home. So the mental health side, obviously I'm very biased, but that's really good because then you can unload stuff that you don't need to bring home. Again, the successes that you set yourself up for, doing that. Talking to your support systems. What is on your playlist? What are you choosing to listen to when you're going home? I've had people travel to come in and see me. They could live 45 minutes, an hour away, And they're like, oh man, I'm listening to this podcast and it's really rough. I'm like, how's that working for you? Like you're feeling really crappy afterwards. I'm like, let's switch it up.
I think that the biggest lesson I ever got was that, how did they say it? This is not going to be quite right, but nutrition isn't just what you consume, like food. It's, the music, it's the podcast, it's the news, it's the conversation with friends, it's all of it.
Yes.
That's why.
Like, and who are you hanging out with?
Oh yeah.
When you're around somebody, are they an energy vampire? Because if they are and you're already taxed, I'd be like, I want to hang out with them. Like find people, like we all have friends for different things, right? You could call this person and they're going to make you laugh. You call this person, you could cry on their shoulder. You can do these things. Don't go to somebody who's a taker that when you're already depleted and you have nothing to give.
Listeners, if you need something early in the morning, I am your person. If you need a walk, a workout, a healthy meal, a nap, I am your person.
Yeah.
You need someone to go to a movie at 9:30 at night with?
No.
I'm not your person.
I am not that person either.
I'm not that person. So I want to go back and dig back a little bit into that series of events because I wonder sometimes if we could be, I may be reaching, and you can feel free to tell me I'm reaching, if we could be a little bit more self-aware of what's going on in here inside of me, inside of AZ, if I can be more self-aware, is it possible I can, to some extent, reroute those series of events as long as I'm more aware of what's going on? Or is that just not possible?
No, I think anything is possible because then you'd be asking yourself, why is this triggering me so much? Why am I allowing for this to impact me? Now, it's not lost on me that if it's 3 a.m, you're tired and worn down, right? Because our natural circadian rhythms tell us when it's dark outside, sleep. It does. So you have to see, what is it hitting you? Doing a self check-in. What is my body telling me right now? Why is this setting me off? It could be something so random, but self-awareness is everything. It's how we communicate. It's our boundaries. It's how we put ourselves out there in the world.
I recently read a book. I'm trying not to look at my phone to figure out what the book is called. I'm so angry that I can't remember it. Perimenopause is no joke. Like a loss of estrogen, my friend.
Yes. I am very aware of that.
I'm going to have to look and hopefully I can really quickly find it. And I didn't like the book as much as I thought I was, but I went ahead and listened to the whole thing and I'm glad I did. I'm going to have to end up cutting this part out here because I'm just going to be blabbering on for a second. The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. Now, I did not love the entire book, but I stuck it out for the whole entire book. And I'm really glad I did because there were a couple lessons in that book, which the biggest one was most of the stuff that other people do doesn't really impact me unless I let it.
Yep.
So her example was, I think her son was getting ready for prom and he was wanting to wear like high top tennis shoes with his suit. And she was like, no, you can't do that. And it was really stressing her out. And then she just stopped. She's like, why am I letting this stress? Why do I even care what he wants to wear? So could we apply the Let Them Theory to those 3 a.m. calls that we go on?
Yeah. Because why not? And also I think it's a perspective too, because if somebody is struggling with a substance abuse or if there's that lonely person, like we can have compassion for that, but it's also okay to be grateful that that might not be your reality. And so we're always learning. Life is an absolute vast array of lessons and it's all about your perspective. So there's always somebody that's going to have it worse than us, but sometimes people forget that because they're like, this is just the worst day ever. I'm never going to get through this. And it's like, life has a way of being like, aha, well, I'll show you otherwise.
Hold my beer.
Yes. Yes.
You know, the prefrontal cortex matures, isn't it like at 25 or
23, 25, it's in that little
something like
window.
that? Okay, so if my prefrontal cortex was mature then, why in the world did it take me till I was like 50 to start actually learning lessons and being wise? It's not fair.
I know. I know. That's why we say like beauty is wasted on the youth. And I look at beauty as like the intellect too. But here's the beautiful thing with that is that I don't know about you, but after I hit 40, I was getting a case of the I don't cares about things. Like
Oh, it's
let
delightful.
them, like, I'm just like, okay, cool. And things were not impacting you in the same manner of which they once were. And so when we're in our 20s and 30s and going, like, you're just hitting the ground running. You're trying to hit all the milestones. Oh, I'm supposed to accomplish this. I'm supposed to accomplish this. I'm supposed to do this. And you can't even catch your breath because you're supposed to achieve all these things that society or your family tells you, like, this is just the natural progression in life. And then you get older and you're like, oh, but I can make decisions about what feels right for me. And it just, we don't really get it till we mature and like start to slow down and things start to level off.
Cindy, are you familiar with the We Do Not Care Club?
Yes. Are you in it?
I am in it. And the thing is, I do care.
Yes.
I really do care. I care about people.
Mhm.
I care about science. But I mean, if you have not seen this lady on Instagram, she's hilarious. She's got her notebook. She's got this giant highlighter. She's got like 3 pairs of glasses on her head.
Yes.
Usually she's wearing sweats. This is the meeting of the We Do Not Care Club. And she takes the highlighter lid off and she spits it out. We do not care if we are wearing the same t-shirt as yesterday. Mind your business. And she just goes on and on and on. And Cindy, it's so true.
Mhm.
I would not have gone out of the house without fully dressed and makeup and matching shoes. I wouldn't have done it. And then I no longer care.
Yep.
And it's beautiful.
Right.
But here's the question. Do men also have this metamorphosis of not caring?
I would say so, but I think it hits differently.
Okay. Tell me
Because
more.
women, we're expected to do, I mean, not that men aren't expected to do stuff. I'm not shortchanging them. But women, you've ever seen the meme where it shows the woman and then she's holding all the kids and then she's got the weight of the world on her back.
Yeah.
It's like, make sure that you have a good career, that you raise kids, that you have a clean house, that you're showing up and doing all the things and looking good and like expectation, and keep all the plates spinning in the air and don't complain while you're doing it and make the home baked things and like all of the messaging that we are supposed to get and be nurturing and also enjoy every step of the way.
Smile while you're doing it.
Yes. Yes. And so I feel like that with women, we might feel it more intensely when we get to the We Do Not Care Club because we're shedding. We're shedding off expectations that, can we even pinpoint where they came from? They can be self-imposed, traditional family values, society as a whole, a billboard. You're supposed to look like this. You're supposed to achieve this. You're supposed to drive this.
I wonder if we could get our cards to the We Do Not Care Club earlier. Hear me out. If we could become members of the We Do Not Care Club earlier, that might help us with our compassion fatigue and our burnouts. Because then maybe we would not care about the stuff that doesn't really matter, and we'd have more capacity to care about the stuff that does matter.
right? I'll say that my daughter, she'll be 21 in 2 weeks, I've learned a lot from her with the we do not care. And I think there's something to be said about that generation where they're always in like comfy clothes, sweats, hoodies, pajamas, walking around. Sometimes I'm like, we're going out to eat. Can you like change or something? She's like, what? I'm comfortable. What's the problem? Kind of a thing. And there was like such little emphasis on feeling like she had to show up all done up and be on stage and perform. And she was just her, authentically her, take it or leave it. And I just sit back in awe of her and think, dang, you got it way earlier than I ever did.
The younger generation is far ahead, I think, definitely of where I was at that age, like light years ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget, and podcast listeners, I'm so sorry if you've heard this story before. And Cindy, you too, sorry. But about 5 years ago, a female friend reached out. She's like, hey, I'm really thinking about switching careers, getting into the fire service. And so I said, I'm happy to talk to you about it, but I really want you to talk to some other people too, because I feel like sometimes I'm maybe a little bit too biased on the negative side. So I always talk about the shortcomings before I get to the awesome parts of it. Because when I was sort of indoctrinated, I was only told about the awesome parts. Like the shortcomings weren't even mentioned. And so I give the shortcomings first. And so after I had my monologue with her for 20 minutes, I said, what do you think about all that? And I was hoping she'd say, oh yeah, I'm probably just going to stay in my career. She said, I think I'd like to try it. And I said, well, the fire service isn't really something you try. Like you get in it and then you're in it forever. And she goes, why? Like I could do it for 3, 4, 5 years. And if I didn't like it, I'll just go do something else. And I was like, excuse you, ma'am? What are you talking about? Because it never occurred to me. They're so smart, Cindy.
Yeah. Expectations, right?
Are we teaching them like emotional maturity better now? Are we teaching them expectation management better now than when we were kids? What is going on?
I think that there is that because we're Gen Xers.
Oh, yeah.
It was, they call us the generation where we raised ourselves.
Feral and ungovernable.
Yes. Drinking the hose water. That just made like you were fending for yourself, latchkey kids, doing stuff like that. And that was just how it was. It's not bad. I mean, I think that we are a very strong, reliable generation, but there wasn't that part of talking about things. It was like, here's your schedule, here's the structure, figure it out, rinse and repeat. Whereas the generation that is after us, they're talking about things. And I do feel sometimes the pendulum swings too far sometimes, and that we got to balance it out. But that's what happens in anything, right? We have extremes and then we figure out what works. So they are much better about talking about feelings. But I have a whole ton of Gen X clients that are finding relief in being able to finally talk about things. Like, oh, there is value in this. I'm like, yeah, right.
I didn't know that my body talked to me.
Yeah. How about it?
No idea. I lived up here. Now I know that I have gut feelings and they're believable. Isn't that the coolest thing in the world?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's amazing. So I said emotional maturity. We said a whole bunch of words. They might be buzzwords, but we said a whole bunch of words. But how can we start to tie these ideas back into being a healthier, more well-regulated, happier first responder? And that, my friend, is a big question. And I'm going to apologize in advance. But you need to go now. The mic is yours.
Well, let me get out my magic wand.
I know. You can use a highlighter. I think her name is Melania or Melanie something. So pull it off with your, I wish this was on video. start
First
crossing
of
things
all,
out.
you don't have to care so much.
Right.
You know, I think the big thing to bring it all together is really truly about cognitive reframing. It's changing the way you look at certain things. Don't take things so personal, you know?
Mm.
Understand why somebody responded the way that they did. If you need more information, ask for clarification. Hey, I'd like to circle back. And I know it sounds like therapy speak, and that's fine. You can change the verbiage to whatever works best or sounds more like you, but I do say, like, can we circle back to what we just talked about? Because I might not have heard what you were saying right, or I didn't compute it appropriately. But what did you mean when you said X, Y, or Z? You know, it's the same thing that I use with people, because any political season, and it seems like we never get out of political seasons these days, but I have people that come in and will spend a lot of time talking about, oh, this person's a Democrat or this person's a Republican, and I hate this. And I said, okay, well, did you ever ask them how they got to where they did in their way of thinking? Because too many relationships get ruined by voting either red or blue. And I'm like, why are we allowing for something to ruin relationships? Why don't you talk and see how to ask, hey, how did you come to that conclusion? And you might learn that you have more commonalities than you don't. So talking, people need to talk. And that's
Writing it down. Talk.
Yes, you got to talk. Help me understand. I love that phrase. Help me understand how you came to that conclusion. Help me understand why you feel that way.
I love tell me more. It's my favorite one.
Yes.
Tell me more. Or say more. Or actually, say less. That's my new favorite one.
Yes.
When I totally agree with you, say less.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Step 1, talk, communicate, circle back, and try to gain understanding by using phrases such as help me understand or tell me more.
Could you imagine that 3 a.m. call if, let's say, you've got somebody who's been on it a few times, but you have been on that call 30 times and you know the backstory, and that person comes to you and says, what's going on? We're always going to this. And you're able to say, well, 20 years ago, she lost her child and she hasn't been the same since. That might hit differently the next time you get called to that house, because it's humanizing the person. Everyone has a story. Everyone wants to be understood. No one wants to be judged.
I wrote down number 2, humanize the person.
Exactly.
Step 1, talk, understand. Step 2, humanize the person. Step 3, if neither one of those things are helping, then what?
Then I think that person either needs to go take a nap or get on a treadmill.
Out. Answer is always nap or treadmill. I talk about this in my sleep lecture. When a child is being a pill, and acting out, and what is usually the problem? They need a nap.
They need a nap or a snack. Like, is your blood sugar low?
I had a girlfriend. She used to get so mad at her husband, but he was right every time. He'd be like, when is the last time you had a snack? And she'd just be like lashing out at him and just grabbing the snack from him. And then, that was the problem. She needed a snack. Yeah.
I mean, for those of us that can get hangry, it's real.
I know.
We don't mean it. We're just hungry.
I know. I get a little bit hungry. How is the best vehicle? What is the best vehicle for making these conversations more palatable? And I have a specific example.
Okay.
Within the Recruit Academy, the conversations tend to be somewhat palatable just because they have to listen and they have to be respectful. And I think that sometimes just because they have to listen, things eventually hit. If they hear it enough times in enough different ways, things eventually hit. What about the salty, dusty, crusty old veterans. How do we have these conversations around mental health and burnout and compassion fatigue with the crusty dusty?
What I have done, because I have faced them and they've looked at me like I've fallen off a turnip truck. And I'm like, oh, you don't like to talk about mental health and wellness, do you? And they're like, nope. And I said, okay, do you like productivity at your department? They're like, yeah. I'm like, let's start there then. So that way is what we'll do.
Say more.
Yeah. So if you really want to bridge the gap from leadership down to, your boots on the ground, you have to find commonalities, and everyone wants to be heard and feel like they're invested. You don't want to just be a number. You want to feel valued. So if somebody's bringing something to the table and saying, hey, I have an idea, or this is what's happening, like openly listen. At the end of the day, it's the judgment call of admin, right? The old crusty people, they get to have the final say. But you want to be able to tell them, like, here's why I think it would be effective. Also, there's a problem in every firehouse, right? You'll have people calling off sick. You'll have people that are struggling with something. It's not an uncommon thing. So you can't ignore what's happening in your own department. So do you want to keep it going that way, or do you want to see some change because what's been happening isn't working? So let's shake things up. If it doesn't work, fine, you can go back to doing what you're doing, but let's try something different. You don't keep the same fire apparatuses from the time you buy them until the end of time.
Thank goodness.
You have to replace them. You put in new equipment, you learn new technology, like that's called evolution and growth. So your biggest investment is your people. Why do we spend so much time making sure the equipment is perfect, but not the humans that are operating it?
I have a related question.
Mm-hmm.
How? Because to some extent, going through the Fire Recruit Academy is a rite of passage.
Mm-hmm.
It is difficult. It should be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be difficult. You have to prove yourself. People have to believe in the fact that you're not going to turn out boot and run at the first sign of challenge. They have to believe that. So it has to be difficult. And also, sometimes in both mental and physical ways, sometimes there might be a better way. But there's hesitance to change to a better way because I had to endure that. I had to go through that. Therefore, everyone should have to go through what I went through.
So then we could look at all the people that have retired before you and after you and look and see, like, how are they doing? Who has a drinking problem? Who's still alive? Whose health is failing them? Whose relationships are thriving? Looking at all of these factors, what's going on? We could do a case study on that. If we just do it the way where it's to suck it up, we don't talk about that shit. Just, have a drink. We'll meet out after shit. Like, that's not working.
And in my experience, because I'm on obviously the more physical side as opposed to the mental side, unfortunately, and I think it's a little bit the same on the mental health side. And I understand it's all health. It's all encompassing, but the physical manifestations of missteps early in the career usually don't manifest themselves for a good bit of time. And so then it's kind of hard to tie it back to, say, all the way back to the academy. And so my dream is to figure out how to tie that together faster so that people can see the manifestations of what they've been doing more quickly, both mentally and physically. How do we do that?
Yeah. I mean, that's true, right? Because you want to keep the good physical health. Like there's crews that work out together at
Yeah.
this shift. I love that. That's team building. You're getting your workout in. It also helps with your positive mental attitude. You feel stronger when you're going to go into whatever call it might be. You are team building. And so that's all like super special. Cooking together, keeping that bond going on, talking to one another. You're building these mental connections even when you're doing the physical stuff.
Yeah.
To keep that going and just really coming back to, I know it can be tricky for some people when you say the family, because some people going into fire services didn't even have a really good family to start with. So the word family could be triggering, but creating one where it feels supportive and not punitive. So there is a rite of passage, but there's also like, hey, I got you.
Yeah.
And if you feel that, I mean, is there anything you wouldn't do for people that support you?
Nope. Literally walk into burning buildings for them.
Exactly. So if we have that mindset all around, it's like I'm building an awesome crew because they know they can depend on me. I can still be strict or tough or, give constructive criticism, but know that I will still walk through fire for them.
Oof, I like that. I love that. I keep going back to what you said about the series of events. And I think that we can put a positive spin on that as opposed to instead of a negative series of events that brought us
Mhm.
to com- lack of compassion, burnout, drinking too much. So instead of those negative series of events, putting a positive spin on it and making it a positive series of events
Mhm.
and holding ourselves and our crews accountable for those positive events. I think that might be the answer.
Yeah.
And we both have that face like, that's the answer, but how are we going to do it? Small steps.
Small steps. I think even on those, like we were talking, those 3 a.m. calls, I think that would be, even if there's a conversation and you're like, hey, I know we don't want to be up right now, but man, you really handled that one really well. Thank you. Like, even in that moment when you're tired or worn down or something, like just a little bit.
Yeah.
It is the small steps.
I cannot remember if it was a private conversation with you, a podcast, or maybe even the conversation wasn't with you, but it was a crew that started to intentionally keep their words to themselves when they went on calls like that. So instead of jumping in the rig and immediately start bitching about
Mhm.
the address, the call history, the time, the whatever, they just basically, if they didn't have something nice to say, they didn't say it at all.
Mhm.
Was this you? Was this
No.
conversation with you? Okay. And I guess it was just absolutely pivotal, like life changing. So they didn't say anything negative at all. And then on the way home, if they had something to say, they had to try, like you said, to put a positive spin on it.
Mhm.
And they said it made all the difference.
Because people influence each other, right?
Yes.
You walk into a space, you can feel the energy.
Yes.
You know, we got on this and we immediately saw each other and we were like,
So
this
happy
is
to see
great,
you. You look so
right?
good.
And then you go, if it would have been different, been like, oh, hey, what's up? You'd be like, oh my gosh, like, what's wrong? Or is everything okay? Like, you set the tone.
Yes. Oh, we have way more power than we give ourselves credit for.
Exactly.
And then, the whole the buzzword right now is gratitude and being grateful. And I do like that is important. But sometimes you're not freaking grateful. It's 3 a.m. and you're on the same dang call that you've been on.
Mhm.
But if you can just frame it as positively as possible. Yeah, I think I gotta go back and dig and figure out who told me that or where I got it, but they just said it was magical.
Mhm.
Just, they might have had the thoughts in their head, but they didn't say them out loud. And then therefore the never ending bitch session didn't even get started.
Yeah, because how much are you going to feed it?
Oh
So you get
yeah.
to choose what you're going to feed.
Oh, it's like social media. Don't feed
Hmm.
the trolls.
Correct.
I do have to tell you a side story. Threads. Are you on Threads?
No.
Okay. I don't spend a lot of time on Threads, but every once in a while I take a little scroll. And this gentleman had written just something so hateful to a woman. It was innuendo and inappropriate and just angry and so awful. And she had posted it and she blacked out, some of the not nice words or phrases, but within a couple hours, the people on Threads had found the guy, found his business, flooded his webpage with negative Yelp reviews. He had to change his Twitter and his LinkedIn, and his Instagram got taken down. And it's like, be careful the bad attitude you put out into the ethos, because people are not having it anymore.
They're not. They are not. They're like whoa, you thought it was okay to be a keyboard warrior and talk to somebody like this?
It was unbelievably awful and hateful and just filth. I think they even sent it to his wife.
Oh
I
my
mean, it was like, hopefully they found the right guy. It seemed like they did. It seemed like they did. But yeah. So there's an example of don't put it out there, because sometimes it'll come and get you.
Oh yeah, karma's real.
Yeah, karma is not a bitch. It's a very, what do they say? A very dignified woman that comes drinking high tea and whatever.
Oh, this is good. I
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's good. Well, I think that we have some really good tips and insight into getting our 2026 started off on a better foot,
Mhm.
hoping with less compassion fatigue, less chance of burnout. And then I guess maybe let's leave the listeners with kind of a resource when they're sensing that, like, oh, I am at my wit's end. I am just about to lose it. Let's leave them with a couple of resources that they might be able to tap into.
So I think first and foremost, before you get to that point, set your intentions.
Mm,
People do like the new year, new me stuff. So if you like the January 1 date, like set your intentions. What do you want to manifest for that year? Is it healthier coping mechanisms? Is it better relationships? Like lay it out. Because if you speak it, it can come true, right? We tend to make things, we will accomplish things if we write them down. And so we create success by doing that because now it's setting an intention. So I think what people can do with their resources is say, when I am going to get stressed out, this is what I'm going to do when I woke up in the middle of the night. Like just even a simple, like, I'm not going to let it sit with me. So I think I've shared this with you before. So I apologize if I'm resharing this story, but at
Resure.
2 or 3 in the morning when the worry bully wakes you up and you're like sitting there and you go, oh my gosh, I have imposter syndrome. Oh, did I do this today? Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. And you're running through that. I'll say to myself, all right, I wake up at 4:35 in the morning and I'll say, let me just like check back in with this worry then, and I'll see if it matters. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, that didn't matter. And then I like kind of giggle about it because it's like this very vulnerable me because you're in this sleep state and then you're awoke with anxiety and then you're like, oh, the world is ending. You feel like Chicken Little. And so you just go, the sky is not falling. Everything will be okay. But setting intentions, the way that you have your self-talk, again, surrounding yourself with people that are going to lift you up. And even if you're around people that are not, like, they're more curmudgeon-y,
Mm,
then give them grace and be like, well, I hope their day gets better. I
I hope
just,
they have the day they deserve.
right? You can say that too. But I just like pivot. And maybe, I've been accused of a Pollyanna type outlook on things, but I don't I'm not going to let things seep into me that are not mine to control. They're not mine to take on. So why am I going to absorb somebody else's crap when it's not my deal to resolve? And I'm just like, okay, moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah, I just don't want it. But again, and you and I talk about this a lot, but it's stressing. How do you set your day? Like, what are you eating? What are you drinking? When you can control your sleep, what does it look like? Who are you hanging out with? Like, what do you want to do? Are you isolating? Are you, hanging out? Just decide, set your intentions. Decide what you want it to look like.
Ooh.
Also, obviously, find a therapist or a life coach.
Obviously.
I mean, that goes without saying. We're pretty awesome.
I'm setting my intention this year. I'm manifesting not too tall, short brown hair, and her name is probably going to be Sophia. So I'm hoping that this will be the year that I pull the trigger to get the dog. I'm hoping.
Oh, you need a dog.
I need a dog, but then I have this huge, I live on a busy country road and I don't have a fence yet. And so, all of the outdoor activities would have to be a walk, which is not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But, at 4 a.m. when I'm walking in the neighborhood with a poop bag, I am going to be crabby.
Yes. Right.
What series of events brought me to carrying a steaming bag of poop down the country road at 4 a.m? Oh, yes.
Sophia
the dog. Actually, I really want my dog's name to be Kevin, but I prefer female dogs. So it might be a female Kevin.
Well, I think that's fine. You can do Kevin with a YN.
Oh, I like that. Yes. You're so full of the best ideas ever.
I like it.
Well, and I also really appreciate when dogs have a middle name as well. So what do you think about Kevin Taylor? Kevin Taylor Zapp.
It sounds like a musician in the making.
Oh, a drummer? Is it a drummer?
Maybe a howler?
Oh, yeah. So no, we'll check back in again. I thought last year was going to be the year of the dog and it wasn't. So we'll see. How are your dogs, by the way?
Oh, they're perfect. One of my staff is putting together a staff calendar only of our dogs. She just asked for photos today. It's like the best idea ever. So we're just going to have a whole Living Pono dog calendar. I'll have to get one to you. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Some departments do the half naked firefighters. I would far prefer the dogs.
Dogs.
Give me all the dogs.
I think that we need to do a firefighter calendar that is mixed with clinicians.
Oh, so
it's about wellness.
Oh, I like that.
Like you could have somebody in gear, like laying on the couch and then talking.
I really like that. Well, it used to be Tulsa Women on Fire. It's now Oklahoma Women on Fire. They do a yearly calendar. And so maybe they'd be open to a collab, clinicians and hot female firefighters.
With puppies.
Oh my God, we'd sell 1 million copies, Cindy.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Well, as always, I have enjoyed so much chatting with you. I think that we're setting everyone's year off to be a very special one, a very positive one. But please set your intention.
Set your intentions.
Get yourself a counselor. And I think we could probably drop the mic. And I'm going to do that thing again where I stop recording and then you're probably going to say something brilliant, but I think we can drop the mic. So it's been AZ and Cindy McKnight from Living Pono Counseling, and we are officially out. Happy 2026.
Happy 2026.
Thanks, Cindy.
Absolutely. As always,